Hi everybody, glad you guys are here. Could you guys just give me a 1 if I'm clear and you can hear me, please, just so I can do an audio check before I start. Sweet, awesome, okay, great. Right guys, week 1 and week 2, we basically went through the ISDNA process where in week 1 we started speaking about our products, we defined our products, we looked at our business, we looked at what we're selling. Week 2, Russell spoke about finding the pains in the market, how we use Pain Finder and how we use the ISDNA process, the industry solution, to find the pains in the market and to find the keywords associated with those pains so that we can actually start working with it. In that process, in the course material, I gave you a process you could follow. And this week, we're essentially going to start looking at Kraken and what Kraken was designed for. So just to give you guys a quick snapshot of what Kraken is, basically, and what it does, Kraken is a tool that analyzes the vertical market. It basically starts at the top and it drills its way down, and it gives us a snapshot of all the most important themes that are within a market or a sector that we're actually looking to work in. And when we look at the vertical market, if we had to segment this market into chunks, typically our silo keywords, example, hair, wedding, makeup, would be at the top of the vertical. Our category keywords, wedding, hair, makeup, artist, would round about be the midsection, and then all the long tails, the supporting articles, and all the other stuff sort of sits at the bottom. So this is what Kraken does. It gives us a good snapshot of the top part of the vertical. The last keyword tool gives us a snapshot of all the supporting article levels, all the long tails and all the low-hanging fruit. It gives us all the keywords back, including verticals and category keywords and silo keywords. Okay, so could you guys give me a 1 if you've used Kraken before, and a 2 if you have not? Okay, so we've got a group of fresh people who have never used Kraken. Okay, awesome. And could you guys maybe just indicate to me who's doing local type of websites and who's working on bigger sites, like national type of sites, just so I can get a feel for what the audience is working on. You just write local or national. Okay, so it's mixed. It's between 2. Okay, that's fine. Excellent. Great. What I'd like to do today, just to make this a bit more real, Sue and Russ, what do you think about this idea? What if we took one of the students and we just drilled into one of their markets and we chatted through the process with them, just working on it? Do you think that would be suitable, or should we just use an existing project?
I don't know how far you'd be able to get in terms of the drills. If we'd had the drills done before, they'd work.
Okay, yeah, no, that's true. Okay, no worries. Let me just get something here quickly for you guys. Market analysis in Kraken. Okay, so I just want to open up our image quick there, show where we are. Come on. Right, so open this up in a new tab. Okay, so basically what we're going to do this week, guys, is I'm going to give you a demo of how we use Kraken. We're going to talk about Kraken and what it does. We're going to look at the keywords that it brings back. And what you want to achieve this week is you want to start getting your keywords together for me. You probably started them last week, but I just wanted to have a chat about the keywords that you give to me. Guys, when you give your keywords, make sure that you've identified what the pain keywords are in your industry and mix them into that mix. Because essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be drilling down into the vertical, and then we're going to start looking at the actual pains. Okay, so for example, if you're in the SEO industry, SEO could be one of your keywords, but look more at your product and the service that you can be offering, and look at the keywords that define that, and then send me those keywords. If you get stuck and you're not sure, please hit me up on Skype so we can get the keywords right, because what we find is sometimes guys go too broad and it's not exactly what they're looking at. Okay, so if you're not sure, just give me a ping on Skype and I'll help you work your way through that this week, and then we can get those keywords drilled out for you. Okay, so what we're going to do this week is we're going to start drilling out all your keywords for you in Kraken. I will do the initial drill. So when you give your keywords, the keywords will go to Kevin in the help desk. Kevin will set up your Kraken account for you. I will take those keywords, I will drill them out for you, and then I'll hand the account back to you. Okay, and then what's going to happen is when you're ready, let Kevin know through the help desk that you want to use the 7 days from this date to that date, and please make sure that you get to use it, because you're only getting white bite of the cherry. If you can't do it in that time, please let us know, because we don't want to have a situation where Kevin has to go and open up accounts multiple times. So to get your 7 days free access to Kraken, please let us know the time span that you're ready to use it, so you can get full benefit out of getting the most out of the tool for that period of time. Okay, so let's just look at where we are. Week 1 we did what take are we selling, and we defined the market that we're going to be selling in. We went to Pain Finder and we found the pain in the market. We did our FAQ and SHU, so what are the frequently asked questions and what are market personalities supposed to be asked. And then what we did was we found our keywords that we wanted to do our keywords researching. So this week we are over here, and what we're going to do this week is we're going to drill in Kraken and we're going to examine and look at what keywords come back. Okay. And then what we can do is we can start exporting these keyword themes out of Kraken, and we're going to use them in DWS next week, Network Empire Builder, to actually build up the silos. Okay, so that's essentially what's going to happen over there. And I just want to jump across here. Now in the course, we've got extra information on how to use TLKT, plus we've got extra information about local keywords. Okay, just want to open up that as well, because that's going to be important. Okay, let's see what we got here. Right. On this page here that we have, which is that the market analysis in Kraken, basically what I've done here is I've given some notes on the webinar, and then further down I've documented what the process is. These are the steps that we're going to follow. So we're going to create a cluster, we're going to create a new theme, we're basically going to delete the synonyms. I'm going to run through one drill with you guys so you can see it. Then we're going to drill into the keyword, and then we're going to analyze the market. Okay. Then what we're going to do there, it's all in this process, but what you want to make sure is when you look at the market, understand the language, the words and the phrases that people use. Okay. When we start understanding how market personalities speak and how they communicate, those words help us better drill into the market and find the better keywords to build our sites with. Okay. So I'll jump straight to Kraken right now. What I've got here is the SASE market analysis, and I'm going to quickly explain the interface to you guys. So when we come into Kraken for the first time, we'll land on this screen, which is called VOMA. VOMA stands for Vertical Online Market Analysis, and this process we're going through, the Vertical Online Market Analysis, is where we go and discover the themes that are important to the actual market. Sometimes I refer to these themes as conversations. If we think about conversations people are having, we can actually look into the conversation and we can see what are the important keywords, which are the search volume, how the money flows through the market, and there's a lot of things that we can do over there. Okay, so to start, what we'll do is we'll create a cluster, and when we create a cluster, we click on this link here, and it'll give us the ability to create a cluster and add our first keyword in. So I'm not going to do that now, but I'm just going to jump straight into a theme I've drilled out for SASE, so it stays in line with the course material. And you can see I've got 26 themes drilled out there, and this market's worth about $4 million. If we look at it, it's 47,000 million in South African rands. Okay, so when I started this process, I started off with hair salon, because that's the industry that we work in. That was my first keyword I used, was hair salon. So if we're going to click into that keyword, that is a theme. Okay, you can see it named over there, it's a theme, and now we're on the theme market analysis screen for SASE, for the hair salon. Now the reason why I started with hair salon, it was because that's what the trade is called. That's where the building is. That's what the girls do. They work in a hair salon. So when we look at the hair salon, a hair salon is made up of hairdressers, hairdressing, hair extensions, okay? And when we go through this list and we sort by co-occurrence, what essentially happens is all the important keywords come back. Now, the reason why I'm sorting co-occurrence is because I want to explain co-occurrence to you guys and how it actually works when we look at this whole process. So I'm just waiting for the screen to change, and we'll look at that. But typically what happens with Kraken is, when we're looking at our theme, we've got the TSMV, which is the total search market value. This is the amount that people spend on advertising, if we look at it, okay? So that's what that column does, and this helps us find out how the money flows through the market. Also, the cost per click column helps us find out where money flows through it, okay? So when we look at co-occurrence, when we see these two little dots over here for hair salon, that indicates that that's 100%, and that refers to the blue bubble. You can see it's blue and blue, okay? So if that's the seed keyword, what we have here is the next things that are very highly relevant. So 22%, we've got virgin hair extensions. They're highly relevant to hair salon. Hairdressers are highly relevant to hair salons, hairdressing. And as we go down the list, you're sort of moving away. So if you imagine a pond of water and we take a rock and we throw it in, and that rock hits the water, that will be where hair salon lands. As the ripples run out, the further they run out to the shore, to the banks of the river, the farthest part is the lowest co-occurrence. The rings that are closest to hair salon has a higher co-occurrence. Can you guys give me a 1 if you understand that? Okay. The reason why I'm explaining co-occurrence to you, it's just to give you an understanding so that when you look at your keywords, you can actually see, are these keywords actually relevant and close to the theme I'm drilling into, or are they a bit further away? Now, what's great about Kraken here at this point in time, guys, is Kraken's just analyzed probably 100,000 keywords when it's done its drill. And it's filtered, sorted, and ranked and thrown out all the keywords that aren't highly relevant, and it's brought us back the keywords that are super relevant, and it's rolled it up into the top 20 keywords, which is awesome. So when we're using Kraken, we don't have to drill and filter and sort. The top 20 keywords are there. If we want to look a bit deeper into this, we can click on Show All Keywords, which you find on the bottom right over here, and that gives us the full list of keywords. Now, when you export your keywords, what I recommend you do is click on the Show All Keywords and come down, right-click, Save Link As, and then save the file where you want it. Now, when I do the drill for you, I will basically package and I will give you a folder with all your exports saved and ready for you when I've done your drills. Okay. Now, typically when we run through this process, what you want to do is, if you're starting off with hair salon, if that's the primary keyword that you want to start getting ranked for, okay, what you want to do is you want to pay attention to the competing pages, because I've got a particular process that I go through when I draw the keywords out. I just need to find that here for you quickly over here. It's a process map. It's not that one there. Here's videos that Sue's done over here, guys, in the course material. You can click on that there, and it's a whole section just on finding that. Where is that process I did? I've got a process map I've drawn out for you guys where I show you what I do, but I'll show you now as we do in Kraken. Typically what we do with Kraken is when we start off, okay, we drill into our keyword that we want to look at, and we create a ceiling. This is the first thing. If you want to take notes, this will be a good time to do it. What we want to do is we want to create a ceiling, and typically what we do is we take the competing pages of the parent keyword and we multiply it by 10. So 472,000 becomes 4 million, okay, and that's our seeding. We want to look at all the keywords that fall under 4 million pages, okay, and that gives us our pond effect, and it gives us also a border where we can stop. Because often what happens with Kraken is people drill in Kraken and then they start seeing keywords that they like, and sometimes the keywords are too big, and they drill into those and it takes them off on a tangent, and we sort of call that silo surfing, where the guys start hopping between big themes and then they lose track of what they're trying to get. With this process we've developed for you guys, this helps you get very quickly to what you want to do with Kraken without having to silo surf. Okay, so I'm just going to open up a little notepad here. Let's get this in here. And if we look at hair salon, I'll just take you through the exercise. That's our parent keyword. What we want to do is we want to look at the top keywords that have the highest search volume, so top TSMV, and we want to grab the top 5 that come in, okay, that are under our ceiling. So our ceiling is essentially, just add a 0 onto that. I'm just going to call it ceiling. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to look for the top TSMV keywords. Okay, so our top 5 keywords, they're under the amount is hairstyles. There's hairstyles again. So what I do at this stage here, I look at which one's got the most search. So there's a big difference. See 95, 730 searches a day. We'll select the hairstyles as one sentence because it's more important. Then I look at hair extensions. This is the next keyword that comes up. Within our range, we've got Brazilian hair that comes in. Hairstyle again. I'll skip that one. Hair colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hairstyle again, and then beauty salons. Now it seems that beauty salons is an alternate way of people describe. So between hair salon, which has got 23 searches a day, beauty salon has 3 searches a day. So it's not really a keyword I want. I think I'm going to switch it out for haircuts. Okay, so I'm going to switch that one out there for haircuts. Those typically are the top 5 keywords that have the most important TSMV. They got a lot of money spent in them. The next thing I do is I go to my searches. And this is going to be the process that I'm going to run through for you guys when we actually drill into your keywords. So I want to show you this because this helps you stay really focused when you're actually working on your actual data set and you start drilling. It keeps you very closely aligned, and you only start exploring the keywords that are in your list. Okay. So the top searches are hairstyles, Brazilian hair, hair extensions again, hair colors, and interesting short hair, Rutos hair. Okay, I'll just grab that one there. Okay, the next thing I want to see is where's the money spent. So I'm going to go cost per click. And typically when I do this type of search, guys, is when I'm new to a market and I know nothing about it, I follow this process and I only draw out this data set and then I analyze it, I look at it, I pull it into the Network Empire Builder, I put my business rules in and I start looking at these keywords and I think to myself, okay, cool, what keywords can I use, what's relevant to the products we can sell now, and what's going to be the most viable silo to build first that's going to impact the business the most. Okay, so on CPC, I was going to make this short little list quick and then we can actually look at what we got, and this will give us, for the hair salon, the most important themes. So hair dryers has got a high cost per click, but it's not something I want to sell. I can't sell hair dryers. Hairstyles come in again, super expensive. Okay, so I'm just going to take that one there. Laser hair removal, we don't do that. Extensions for hair. Hair removal, we don't do. Haircuts, we do. Virgin hair extensions is something we can sell. But I'm going to put a little question mark because we don't actually have that product in store at the moment. Where's my question mark? Okay. And then hair colors comes in next. So I'm going to actually take that out for now. I don't have those. Indola hair products, I don't know what that is. Hair dryers, hair dressers, and then hair dressers is next. That's relevant. Okay. So what's interesting in South Africa, they don't call them stylists, they call them hairdressers. In the UK, the people call them stylists. Okay, so what we have here, guys, is a short list of keywords, okay, out of the hair salon that I've picked. with the highest search market value, the highest searches, and the highest cost per click. Okay. Now, what I do with these three lists here is I create a drill list. And I look for common things. So hairstyles is definitely one that appears through most of these things. Hair extensions appears. Brazilian hair comes in. Hair colors has appeared in most of these. Haircuts, short hair. And let's take shortcuts, short hair in here. Okay, so this is giving me a list of 6 keywords that I can actually go draw. So let's sort the keyword, hairdryer. This is
I
sort my TSV.
wanted to point out, Matt, that short hair doesn't have any cost per click.
It's not there.
If you sort by searches again.
I missed that when I saw it there. Okay, cool. So guys, here we got a short draw list, okay? Now, when we look at these keywords, the very important question we have to ask ourselves is, are these keywords related to our business? And can we sell it? Does it connect with the products that we can sell now? Okay, if you can sell it in 5 months' time, then I would suggest pulling it out of the list. So hair extensions is something we currently do in the hair salon. Hairstyles is what we do. It's what they do on a daily basis. We can sell it now. Brazilian hair is just a style that they do and also overlaps into hair extensions. We can do that now. We do hair colors and we do haircuts. So those would be the first keywords out of the whole list. Those would be the first keywords I would address and look at. Okay. Now, I've sorted by TSMV, total search market value. Okay. And here we can see that hairstyles has the most money flowing through it and the most searches. So this is like a very important keyword. So that's where we start. Okay. Hair extensions carries also a fair amount of traffic, high cost per click, and it's the third for TSMV. So that's an important keyword. Brazilian hair is in 4th position. Hairstyle, we can use it as a synonym, and hair colors. And then haircuts comes down there. Okay, so this is essentially what I'll start off with. Guys, do you have any questions at this stage with regards to this process I've shown you? Because if you follow this process and you apply the same process when you drill into these keywords and create your little shortlists, you're going to end up with probably 15 to 20 themes, okay? And that's more than enough. It's actually, you'll know the market. You'll have all the important keywords drawn out in your market. So if you look at the themes in this actual cluster, we've got about 20 odd themes that we've drilled out in this process. Then we can actually come to our theme screen and we can actually look at how and what makes this market work. Okay.
The other thing that I would say there is because you had hairstyles in like 3 different versions, 3 different ways of expressing that concept, I would actually weight it heavier. Because obviously when you go to create the page or to create the silo, you can incorporate all those different flavors of that expression. And so like that's got a ginormous value within that market. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. What would you say, Sue, in your opinion, what would you say would be the technical impact if we had to use hairstyles with a space versus hairstyles as a singular?
Well, I would do what you did. So like in your particular market, and know that Kraken's different, so like a different English market might have it with more a space, more searches with a space. But I would do what you did and go with the one that's got the most searches as the primary keyword. But then I would incorporate the other versions on the page somehow, and if there are ways that you don't want to express it that would be considered a typo or a slang or something like that, then there are ways that you can hide that in like image names and alt text and stuff like that. But I would definitely have it on page so that you rank for it, because there was a significant number of searches and there was cost per click for all 3 of those versions. They all ranked very high no matter how you sorted the keyword list. So all 3 of them are important.
Okay, cool. So everybody's understood that process. Guys, this is the process that you should use to keep you on track when you run through Kraken. And guys, can you give me one if you understood what Sue was saying there? It's very important that you get these finer things because picking your keywords has a big impact on what you're doing. So I want to make sure you guys are up to speed there. Bill's asking a question, have you told Kraken to return results based on South Africa or globally? Bill, this is a South African drill. Every country, every cluster that you create, you assign a locale to it, you assign a country. So you can drill into the UK, you can drill into Australia, you can drill into South Africa, you can drill into European countries. There's a whole list of countries that you drill into, and when you create your cluster, you select the country at that point in time when you do it.
That's actually an important thing. When you tell Matt what keywords you want, you need to tell him what country or what market within a country. For example, there's a couple of different markets in Canada. There's the French Canadian and English Canadian. So you want to tell Matt what country or language within a country that you're looking for so that we get you in the right drills.
Yes, that's very important. Okay, cool. So the guys have got what you said, so that's awesome. Right, so before I jump back to this theme screen, I just want to go back to the hair salon page where we were, and I want to show you guys what information comes back when we drill the Kraken and what makes this tool so powerful. Okay, so I'm looking at the top navigation bar here. So we're in vertical market analysis. Kraken's got the ability to generate blueprints. Okay, so typically when Kraken drills and it does a VOMA, it's a bit more of a looser filter system to get a bit more keywords in. When we go to blueprint, it runs through a stricter process to get exactly, how can I express this? A stricter filter that gives you better results, okay, when you use the blueprint process. But before we jump and look at that, I just want to go through here and show you what goes in here. When you drill into your theme and you arrive here for the first time, you will just see hair salon. You will not see the keywords in white, okay? And what you need to do is you need to click on the drill theme over here and actually go and drill. This process takes about 10 to 15 minutes depending on it. And this is where Kraken scans the whole web, brings back the top pages, analyzes them all, and it typically crunches through between 100 and 200,000 keywords that is found, group sorts and filters them. This is what happens in this process over here. If you've got a domain and you do some work for a customer and you actually want to look for missed opportunities, or you're trying to close a deal when you're working with your customers and they're saying, yeah, what can we do to help make our business better? What you would like to do first is you'd like to come into ranked domains, okay, and by default, once you drill your theme, you get back all the top websites. Now when you see this little lock on the side of the website, that means it's on a HTTPS URL. It's on a secure socket layer, okay? They've got a HTTPS running on the site when you look at it. So what we have here is the ranked domains for hair salon, and we've got two charts over here. This little bubble chart shows you how strong they are, and when we look at this, we can see who's got the biggest market share. Okay, who owns the biggest piece of pie? And if you want to see what they're ranked for, so for example, we've got Boner here. It's actually sort by this boner.coza for hair salon has got the biggest market share. So if we click on that URL over there, we can actually see what keywords they're ranked for. And this exposes quite a lot of information to us. They're focused on hairstyles, hairstyle, and hairstylist. This is what they're focusing on, and that's where they're getting their money from. Okay, here's their yearly, what they have. Okay, that's actually what they have, and this is potential. So for the hair salon market, they've taken up 79% of this actual pie. Okay, guys, can you give me a one if you understand what I've just explained to you?
So that's interesting. The reason they've got 70% of the pie is because they're ranked #1 for the most valuable keyword in the list. And so even so, they, like when you look at the number of keywords that they're not ranked for, how much they've actually left on the table, percentage-wise in terms of value, they grab the biggest chunk out of it. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it is, eh?
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I love looking at this. Now, the great thing about this page, guys, is if you're dealing with a client, okay, what you can do is you can actually return to ranked domains, and you can rank a new domain, and you can actually put, let's just put SAS in there and see what comes back, and we can look for missed opportunities. opportunities. I know that we're not ranked for those keywords, but we're just going stick it in there. You can see I've been doing this before. Now, if this was your client, you can put your client's keyword in, and the report that it brings back, you can see all the gaps and all the missed opportunities that this client has. Okay, and when you walk into the office and you speak to him, you can take this report and you can show it to him and say to him, look, this is where we believe we can improve and increase your search volume, because you just off the mark, because they might be in position number 8 for one, position number 20 for another keyword, and with a little bit of work on their site, you could essentially push their site up, and you'll get to those rankings much faster than you would having to get ranked for other keywords. And a lot of times when you speak to these clients in local businesses, they're not far off, but they need a little shove and a little bit of cleaning up on this, and you get them to what you want to do. And with that type of deal, you could make a few $1,000s just by getting this site sorted out. So this function of Kraken is a fantastic function. I've used it often, and I've done a lot of contracts where I've spoken to people and I've said to them, look, these are the areas we should focus on first. And what it does, it puts you in a position of power, because you are the expert and you're showing them a way or a solution they can follow to sort of improve and increase their rankings on their actual website. Could you guys give me a 1 if you've ever used this feature or not? So there's a question from Dave. Okay, yeah, I was looking at the same one.
So he said ORV is a value of the market value of a keyword, but what is that in relation to, and how is it calculated, and what does it mean for a business that ranks for a keyword? So ORV is organic rank value. It's the value, if you look at the number of searches and you look at the pay-per-click value, we assume that somebody's in position 1 and position 2, because back when we originally wrote the code, you could only rank for 2 positions, and I know sometimes that fluctuates, but we just take that as a baseline. So if you're in position 1, you're going to get X percentage, a large percentage, the majority of the percentage of the value of the clicks for the number of searches. And if you're in position 2, you get a lesser percentage. And so we've estimated the percentage for each position 1 through 10. And so we take that percentage and multiply it by the number of searches. So if you've got 1,000 searches for a keyword and 80% of those people are going to click on position 1, then the value of the keyword, or the value of position 1 for that particular keyword, is going to be 800 clicks. So if the cost per click is $1 per click, then we multiply that 800 by $1, and that's $800. So the organic rank value for position 1 in that case is 800. Now, if you're in position 2 and you get 10% of the clicks, then that's an additional 100. That's an additional $100 if it's $1 per click. So that's how we calculate that. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me a 1 if that makes sense, because I haven't had enough coffee yet this morning. A 2 if I lost you.
No, that was perfect.
Cool.
Great. Okay, so you can see on Sassy we've got 10% share. So we can actually click in here, but we've not made much money on the national level yet for this local website. So if we click on it and have a look, it's probably still drilling. It's done. So for hair salon, we're on position number 32. So if we did a domain authority stack, we can push it up and we can go for that chunk of change over there. Over here, hairstyle on 71. Hairstylists, that's where we are. Hair and beauty salon, that's where we are. So at the top level of the actual industry, SaaS is already starting to creep in there, just with the style of architecture and the way we build our sites out. And we've only got 2 backlinks to the site at this point in time of speaking. So this is, if I was a client, I would go show them, say, look, here's your missed opportunities. This is how much money you're leaving on the table. You've not actually impacted this thing. Now, with Kraken, Sue, how would you think this would work if the guys use Kraken and they put in a local keyword to try and deal with a local client? Would it still return the same type of results if we did like hair salon locale? Would Kraken still work in that instance? Zoom out, I'll be here. Guys, can you give me a one if you can still hear me? I just want to do an audio check quick. Okay, cool. Coming through. Right, so this is how
I'm
we can use
talking away and I'm muted. Let me try again.
Oh, sorry.
So,
Panicked there. I thought my
I
line
was
dropped.
just
I was
chatting
like,
away.
oh no, the call's went.
No. So Google still doesn't collect too much data on local keywords, and so a lot of those keywords are gonna come back. It's just because most people still aren't actually putting in too many ads with local modifiers. And so when you try to search for a keyword with a local modifier, it doesn't bring back too many results. That's just the nature of AdWords. You can specify when you're creating your ad that you want to limit it to a zip code or to a geographical area, and so they don't tend to actually put the geolocations in on the ads. So when we go to query keywords with a geo modifier on it, we don't get back any search or cost traffic. So Kraken's not going to be able to show you too much on a local level. Therefore, I tend to not do research on a local level. I do it on a national level. And then when I'm all done, I'll go to TLKT because Kraken does phrase match investigation, whereas TLKT does broad match. So for local stuff, I'll tend to go to TLKT and I'll do the queries with the local modifiers because it'll bring me back more data than Kraken will. And then I will absolutely include anything in TLKT that's got cost and traffic on it because I know people are bidding on those keywords, and therefore I know that there's not just a market there, but a market there that's worth bidding on with the local modifier. And then I'll refer back to my national keywords and determine which one of those keywords I want to include in my site.
Awesome. So guys, do you get that? Kraken doesn't do too well with local stuff based on what you said. So you won't be able to really use the ranked domains for local type of sites. You might be lucky, but it's not going to be spot on. So always think national when you're thinking Kraken. It looks at the whole picture, not just finite things like TLKT can do. Okay, so guys, can you give me a one if you understand how to use the ranked domains and the benefits you can have, especially if you're dealing with SEO clients, how you can actually upsell and position yourself and get the information you need to basically see exactly where you can push first to get results for the clients as fast as possible. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this little screen here has made me quite a bit of money. I've landed quite a few good contracts with this just by using this thing. Okay, so I'm going to quickly return back to the theme. Okay. So the ranked domains gives us, there's one more thing I want to show you here, guys. This is also a very cool feature on ranked domains. In Kraken, we've got two research modes. Okay, we've got the vertical market, which looks at the entire landscape and the market dominators. Who dominates the market? Who are the market leaders? Who's got the biggest pieces of the pie? That's the vertical market view. Then Kraken gives us synonymic net. Okay? And when I click on this, what you'll see is that the actual local competitors will come in. Okay. So let me just, no, I can't do that. So the synonymic net looks at the specific keyword. It's looking at just hair salon, and it shows us which businesses are ranking and dominating that actual keyword and who's got the biggest space. And when you're doing your competitive analysis, you want to look at the synonymic net because this is the guys who are probably on the ground who are competing for the feet that you are after if you're doing a local type of business. Okay, so vertical market is the gorillas in the actual industry. So often you'll see Wikipedia and those types in there, or you'll see big authority type of websites that are swallowing up all the keywords, and then the synonymic net shows us the specifics, the guys that are ranking for that specific keyword. They targeting that particular keyword. Okay, so that last part of the ranked domains, and this is really, really cool because very quickly you can see who we're up against. Now, it doesn't end there. I'm going to go back to the theme, and this link over here, the competitive analysis, this is a very important page because this gives us who is ranking, okay, for that specific keyword at this point in time. Okay, so here we can see Palladium Hair. This is a business that's about 1,000 miles away from us. They're right on the other side of the country, so they're not really a competitor. But here we can see the page authority, we can see the domain authority. If anybody still believes in PageRank, they can see that there for a little giggle. And here we can see how much they're valued at, how many pages they've got indexed, i.e. how big their site is, and what position they rank for over here. Okay, so this helps us really determine, okay, how strong is the market that we're going to enter into. And typically when we look at this, if you take the domain authority, okay, and break it up into 4 sections, okay, it's roughly every 25 increments it gets harder and harder. So anything under 25 is hard. 25 to 50, intermediate. 50 to 75 is getting hard. 75 plus, super hard. You're going to really have to know what you're doing. You're going to have a chat with Mr. Jimmy Kelley to figure out how to take on those markets. But the white paper for the keyword that you're targeting, this gives you all the information that you really need. So you don't have to go run around the web trying to find tools to do it. It's all here in Kraken for you. Okay. Let's just have a look here. So what we're doing is when we look at the white papers, we can actually look at our list, our short list of keywords, and we can actually make a little note next to it. So if I stuck in a hair salon over here, on average, I'm going to need to build my website up to a page authority of 32, okay? Because the domain authorities are 19, 8. Actually, you know what? Just for solid architecture, we're going to bump these guys. We'll push these guys off if we start focusing on that. This market's super easy. It's not a hard, complex market. We don't have to build too much to get ranked for it. So this is why you can see why SASE moves so rapidly through the rankings, was just because the websites we're dealing with in this industry are not really SEO driven. They're more people that are just getting agencies to build their sites for them to make them pretty, and that's what the guys are working on. Okay, so I'm going to jump from the ranked domains. I'm going to go back into the cluster. Okay, and here's all the keywords that I've drilled into. Okay, so this screen works on the same principle. Okay, we've got the vertical market and we've got the synomic net. Now at the moment we're in the synomic net. Okay, it's showing us the total search market value, which is a collection of all these keywords, the organic market rank value, and the PPC value. This is how much money is being spent across these 20 odd keywords that I've drilled into. And what you'll notice is the number one we have here indicates that we're only looking at this keyword. If you're in the vertical market and you only get one keyword, what you need to do is just wait a while, give it a few hours, and come back and drill that keyword again. So you'll click into the theme, and you'll click on drill theme, and you just re-drill the theme. Because sometimes we don't get data back, you just let it sit for a little bit, you come back later, and then Google releases the data to us. But on this screen, the theme screen is where we essentially get to look at all the keywords we drilled into. So out of our shortlist, what I had done was I've gone into hairstyles, and I applied the same process that I went through over here. And I've got my 5 keywords and I added them to the bottom of my drill list. So essentially we could just go bang, bang, bang. We go through the same process and we look at hairstyles and we drill those keywords out. And by the end of the day, we end up with a list of themes that are all relevant to this industry. So if we sort the themes by alphabet, what's interesting that's come back is aromatherapies come back, beauty's come back, beauty therapists have come back, bridals come back, bridal makeup, hair and beauty, hair care, hair color, hair products, hair removal, hair salon, hairstyle, hairstyles, hairstylists, haircuts, hairdressers, hairstyles. So hairstyles is a common thread. It's a very important keyword that's coming back through all these themes. Just different ways of expressing them by using the plural, by using a space between the words. Makeup artists, nail salon, short hair, wedding dresses, wedding venues. Okay, so those 2 keywords there will be great for WR2 type of sites, pinvids, those type of things. What we need to do now when we look at this list is decide what keywords are the most important again, and what are the themes we're going to actually add to our website. Okay, so before I jump into that, Sue, how would you like to move forward? I see Jimmy's on the call as well. Do you want to have him chat about domain names first, or should I just speak more on the silos and looking at this?
Maybe start going into the silo stuff, because
Okay.
I want him to talk about over-optimization in general, and once you have an idea what your silos are, then picking the appropriate domain.
Okay, cool. Right, so what we do here, guys, what you see on the left-hand side here, we've got these little arrows, okay, and what we do here to make it easy is we tick these arrows, we just click on them and they go green next to the keywords that we're going to actually add into our silo blueprint. Okay, so what I typically do here is we start off with the yellow organic rank value, and I sort by those. The first thing I want to do is I want to look at this market from the vertical perspective, so I look across all the keywords because I want to make sure that I don't miss any important keywords, and I want to look at it from where the money flows through the market. That's where we start. Where does the money flow? So wedding dresses is a keyword that has got a lot of traffic flowing through it. We can actually see there's like 2,678 searches a day just in South Africa on wedding dresses. Okay, but just remember that these numbers we see on the theme screen in the vertical market is the collection of all the keywords that are within that theme. Okay, that's correct, Sue, just to double check.
Oh, I was answering a question I didn't hear. I'm sorry.
Okay. Now what I was saying was on the vertical market, we mean vertical market mode, the information we see here is actually like the average of all the keywords that are within the theme.
Well, when you're looking at the cost per click, you see the minimum, the maximum, and the average. And then when you're looking at the competing pages, you see the average. The rest of those are average, yes.
That average is right. That's when I double check that. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's only when you go into Sonomic Net, guys, that is specific to that keyword there. So what we can do is we can look at a few things. We can look at where the money is. So wedding dresses, weddings, that's definitely related to what I'm working with. Mac makeup's related to the business. Hair color is related to the business. Hairstyles. Hairstylist, hair salon. That there is relevant. What I'm doing, I'm taking all the keywords that I consider to be important. I'm leaving hairstyles for last because I want to look at them in a bit more detail. Hair products, we sell those. We've got makeup artists. We do hair and beauty. We do hair care. We work with brides. Hairstyles, makeup and hair. This has only actually happened in the last few months. We've got the nail salon going now as well, so that's a new theme we can add to Sassy. Bridal makeup we do. Beauty is a bit too broad, I think. We don't do hair removal. Haircuts, that comes into the thing. Beauty therapist goes with the nails, so yes, and then yes on the last one. So what I've got here is all the keywords and the themes that are relevant. Now, when we tick these themes, when we hop across to the blueprint in Kraken, okay, Kraken will pick up all the themes that we've marked in green. It will not pick up the themes that we've marked in actual red color, okay, just so that you know. I'll jump to the blueprint a bit later on. So what we can do here now is we can then go by searches, and we can see where the actual traffic flows through this market. Which team has the most searches? So wedding dresses, hair color, hair salon. Okay, so those two are important. They've got a lot of traffic running through them, but we need to figure out what traffic's running through them. So if we look at hair color, and hair colors with the S is on our list, I'm just going to jump here quickly and have a look at what's going on. There's also 58 Rand a click. That's about $6 a click, $5 a click. Okay. So under hair color, hairstyles, Brazilian hair. Hair extensions, Peruvian hair, Roots hair, haircuts, hair salon, Indian hair. Stylists. Okay, hair colors. Hair extensions. So what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm just looking at which ones have the most search value, because all of these are under the actual ceiling. Hair extensions, I'm just going to take these to here, because these are hair colors that I've actually heard of, and I want to find out what these are.
So you're going to go back to the client and talk to him about exactly what their products are and what their business does. Yeah.
I want to understand the relationship between especially these two here, the Peruvian hair and the Roots hair. What has it got to do with color? Is it actually hair extensions, or is it the dye that they put on their hair? And what's important about asking these questions when you look at the stuff, when you're actually doing the market analysis, is because you need to know where to put the keyword in the right silo when you actually build your site. The better you connect your silos up, and the better the theme works with how the business works, the easier it's going to be for the search engines to understand what you're actually doing. So this is the process we typically just go through. I've looked through here. I started with where the traffic flows, and all of these keywords that are still sitting at the top here have got high cost per click, excepting the Reuters here, but I have no idea what that is. So I want to find out what it is, because that could be another important thing. It must be a new product because there's hardly any YouTube videos on it. Now, do you guys have any questions at this point in time with regards to what I've shown you so far? Because I want to start going into the silos and how I choose my silos and what I look at, and then how I move into my categories and what I consider being relevant to categories. Can you guys give me a 1 if you call and you're following along with what I'm doing so far? Or 2 if you sort of got lost? So make sure you guys are following, because if you don't follow the process in Kraken, it will grab you and drag you down into the dark, deep realms where it lives.
I wanted to say to Joshua that the webinar is being recorded.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Okay. This is the sort of go through. We drop in. We find now we can actually go drill. We drill star, drill Brazilian hair, but it's 2 additional keywords that have popped up that we've not drilled into. So we need to go find out what those are. And if we want to draw into them, all we got to do is go to our theme screen. And click on Add New Theme. Okay, so we can check in Peruvian hair. I'm just going to do this as the exercise and open up a new tab. You can see how I do this. So I'm going to put that keyword in there. I'm going to click Create. Now, when you create a cluster, guys, the cluster is the little process that comes before we add the theme. Okay, so you can see here we've added the theme. Peruvians come back, and here's all the prices that's come back on it. So we can check that there's money associated up to $80. So I'm assuming that Peruvian hair must be closely related to hair extensions, but we'll see soon enough. What's great about Kraken is it brings back all the connections and all the relationships surrounding that actual word. And we can see if it's a color, we can see if it's an extension, we can see where it belongs in the story that we're going to tell when we start mapping out our site. Okay, so I'm just going to click Continue here. And while that's, I'm just going to quickly add a few notes here, because what we're going to start doing is deciding on what are going to be silos. So we have a silo and a category. Okay. Now typically, different markets, the silo size fluctuates and changes. Okay, so for the US, to try and figure out what is a silo, US, anything over basically greater than or equal to 7 million pages. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is the threshold I sort of classify as being my silos. Anything outside of the US, i.e. the UK, Australia, South Africa, any of the other places, because geographically the countries are small, volumes are going to be less than what the US is. The US is the biggest in the world. It's got the most search volume. Okay, so in South Africa, I would say you could even go down, let's just say the UK, Australia, ZA, equal to anything greater than or equal to, if it's a small country, I'd say 500,000. And if it's the UK, they search a lot, I'd say 1 million for the UK. Okay. But that's typically the threshold that I use. And what I'm speaking about here is competing pages. I look at competing pages phrase match. And the reason why we use 7 million and we use 500,000 or 1 million, let's just make this 1 million to make it simple. Okay, is when you create a silo, you need to create scope to fit your categories underneath. Okay. Now in the Kraken blueprint, you can create silos and categories, and in the Network Empire Builder, Kraken will automatically generate the articles and all that stuff for you. So 8 silos, which I'll show you shortly, and then it'll go and find the articles for you, and it'll drill up to 10 articles. It'll put 5 in for you, and have 5 ready to be drilled. In DWS Silo Builder, essentially select our silos, our categories, and we can go down to another layer, which is the 4th tier, which is the supporting article layers. So you get the best of both worlds. You can build auto-gen sites with Kraken, and you can manually tweak them, or you can use DWS and you can sculpt the data to how you want it. Okay, so we're going to show you how to do both in this webinar. Okay, so once it's drilled and got the basic stuff, you click on the link. I'm done choosing the synonyms, like the theme defining, and then what we'll do here is we'll just click on drill theme and we'll let that run while we come back to our story here. Okay, the categories, when we select categories, yes sir?
Sorry, Matt, I think we've lost Steve just a little bit. So just to back you up a second ago, you said something about 1 million pages, and he was thinking that you said that you were supposed to have 1 million pages on your site.
No. I was going to actually show them on the screen here what I was speaking about.
Okay, cool.
I just wanted to have a visual of scales. Smaller than or equal to. Okay. Let's turn those around so we can actually check that. Right, so what I'm referring to when I speak about the 7 million or the 1 million, it's not pages on your site, it's actually the competing pages phrase match. Okay, so because this is a smaller country, it's South Africa, we're looking for 1 million. But if we don't have 1 million, we look at the average competing pages. Now, what I've done on this theme screen, guys, is I've clicked on the Sonomic net to get only that specific words. Okay, so this is the quick click. You can get the min and average is all them. Okay, that's one tell to tell you on the Sonomic net screen. Average competing pages for beauty is huge. We're talking like 112 million or 100 million. Wedding, we're dealing with 5 million pages. Hair, 2 million. Wedding venues, 1 million. Bridal, makeup, 500. So if we look at the SASE website, wedding and makeup, those are the silos used. Okay. And the reason why I picked them was because they're not that big. Based on the US markets, underneath the 7 million, it's actually below quality as a silo. But what I say to you guys here, every market is different and the results are different. What you want to think about when you look at this is if that rule doesn't work, just take your biggest keyword that you want to target, chop everything down to 3 parts. So that the top will be the size, the middle band would be the categories, and lower for it to supporting articles. So it would essentially be a thing smaller than. And if we are supporting articles.
Hey, Matt, your connection hasn't been good for the whole call, but at this point it's breaking up to the point where we really can't understand you.
Okay. see what let me shut some things down.
You might want to sign back out and sign back in to probably clear the cache. Might help a
Okay,
little.
I'm just going to shut down a few things.
Might help a little bit.
Let's just done all these things. I'm just going to show you guys. Okay.
If you want, while you're doing that, I can have Jimmy come on and talk a little bit about keywords just to kind of keep the flow going.
Let me jump off and I'll just come back in again, and
okay.
then I'll carry on with this afterwards.
Okay, that sounds good. Jimmy, are you in the wings still?
I am here, Sue. How's it going?
Excellent. How you doing?
How is everyone today? Oh, not too bad. A little sleepy.
I can't imagine why. So obviously, Matt's going down. Do you want to share your screen? Do you have something you can put up? Otherwise, I can come up with something fast.
What do you want me to show on the...
Well, so we want to talk about keywords, right? And
oh, like structure of the site?
Yeah, and I'm just going to show my screen so that there's something up here for guys to look at for a second. All right, so I don't have the same drills that he's got, but he's talking about a local site, and he's talking about a hair salon site. Now his domain ended up being Sassy, which is the name of the salon, so we don't run into the same kind of exact match domain type issues that you might run into. But let's take something like car insurance, since I have a drill here. And if you were going to do some kind of a car insurance site, I'll give you some keywords to look at. Why don't you talk about like concepts about silos and choosing keywords and domain names and avoiding over-optimization penalties and all that kind of good stuff.
Okay, so do you want me to take the
You can, if you've
screen
got
and just
something
kind of show some stuff? Or?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
What a gold rush.
Man, I can't. Apparently I need to take it. There we go. All right. Everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
Should be looking at like a drawing.
Yep.
Is it
Yes.
E-draw? Okay. So this is where, you know, it's important to silo while you're picking your keywords, which is what Matt is walking you through. So you're picking out specific money keywords so you can, you know, get the most out of your rankings, basically. So if you come into this and let's just say I'm going to do two versions of this so you can see kind of how you need to set it up. So I'm going to just try to go by memory. So let's just say these blue ones are your top level silo, and then you have a few, these would be a few supporting pages within your silo. So when you look at this, you know, when the URL string gets built out, like in Matt's instance, you're going to run into this. So whatever the category might be. So this one might be hairdresser. Let's just say that's one of the top level ones that he picked from the process he's showing you here today. And then the other two drills that he had, let's just say the keyword he wanted to pick was, I don't know, like Brazilian hairdresser, and let's just say hairdresser color person. Just for fun.
All right.
So let's just say that these are what came back in crack, and not that that bottom one would at all, and probably not the middle one either. But let's just say that they did. So, so you're sassy right here. So when you've picked the keyword, and the keyword you specifically picked from what Matt's showing you would have been hairdresser. So when you go out and build out this silo on your site, you got to pay attention to your URL structure. You know, like where you go to once it's out on the web. So this is fine because in this instance he's using sassy.com. Sassy doesn't contain anything. You know, it's not a partial match or anything that contains hairdresser. So, but as you go down, this can start getting trickier as you're building out your silos. So if you come down, and let's just build out this URL so you can kind of see what this looks like. And then you probably have like a dash in there and a slash again. So this is probably what it would look like once it's all said and done. Hopefully you can kind of see what that URL would look like. Okay, so you can see you have hairdresser because that was the name of your top level silo, but it's also part of the one of the main supporting pages you picked also has that keyword in it. So in these instances, your goal, you know, the goal that you still want to rank this page for would be Brazilian hairdresser, but you have to kind of plan out ahead what you're going to be using as far as inbound links. I don't know how basic should we break it down. So like people who might not know, an inbound link is just where you have a hyperlink from one page over to a destination that you've probably seen out there on the web.
Sure.
So
you're talking about an anchor text that's actually got the keyword in it, right?
Yeah, so typically what people do when they rank is they're going to use some keyword of their anchor text will contain Brazilian hairdresser. But when you start sending those types of links in, this is where you're going to start running into problems. So let's just say I start backlinking this thing. Okay, like that. So that's an inbound link over to that specific page. Okay, and then you're going to go through, and you probably would keep doing these similar type of anchor text while you're backlinking this page. But the problem with this is typically people will get hit by a penguin filter when this. So you start adding these up, and let's just say you start doing all these different versions of this anchor text. Even if they're coming from like good properties, it'll be like you know, and that would be another anchor text that's coming into the site. So if you keep utilizing that same anchor text, now you'll notice that these two anchor texts are different, right? That this one has style and this one has God in it. But when you're containing the keyword in your anchor text for Brazilian hairdresser, as you hit this page, you already have hairdresser in there 2 times specifically. So these are instances where you want to be careful with, once you've picked the money keywords for how you're going to build out your silo site, you need to be aware of what's happening with the URL string. So usually the most weighted and important part of what Google determines the relevancy comes from the URL. So if you're looking at this and you see something that you have like a double type keyword or even a partial, you only need to say the keyword in the URL string once, right? So in this instance, if I was trying to, our main goal is to rank for Brazilian hairdresser for this specific page, and we've already designated the category, the top-level silo, to be hairdresser. So in this instance, even though we're going to target all of our SEO efforts towards this specific keyword, we want to dumb down this URL. So we would just want to make sure that when this comes out, it's going to be Brazilian, because Brazilian and hairdresser are still contained within that URL. So, but now with the title, you can also put that into your title. So the title of the web page you could do, you would put Brazilian hairdresser. So let's just say, let me just throw something over here. Something that's another circle, so it makes no sense to people. No. Okay, so your title for that specific page, I would probably do something like
Best Brazilian hairdressers.
What's that?
Best Brazilian hairdressers, or okay.
So you can see in the title, you're still going to, as long as your URL is dumbed down in this fashion, you want to get the exact match anchor contained within the title of your site that you're trying to rank for. And then also with your H1, typically what I do for my H1 is I try to get an LSI version of this particular keyword. And I tried to run a drill. It's not quite done yet on the Brazilian hairdresser, but or this Brazilian hair.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Finished just in time. So what I'd look for in here, now remember, this is you're trying to get the most relevant stuff going on here for the money site. So it's different when I do backlinks, but in this instance we want to try and pick something that's also going to be contain money, but also be the most weighted LSI-wise as far as Google goes. So and this is kind of different just because I did Brazilian hair. So we were doing Brazilian hairdressers, but let's just say this was the drill for Brazilian hairdressers. So in that instance, I'd probably just pick Brazilian wigs for the title. Or not the title, the H1 tag. So your H1 will be something different.
Okay, so you're talking meta title up there at
yes.
the top. Okay.
Yeah. Do I need to show that like on a page? Does
no,
everybody
I'm just
know what that is?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, give me a 1 if you know the difference between your title and your H1. And give me a 2 if you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Okay, we got a couple of 2s. All right, we should show a page for a second.
Yeah, we got to show something. Let me see. You have blog stuff on ThemeZoom, right? Or should I just go to like show them a test one? I'll just show them.
Anything works. They've all got meta titles. ThemeZoom's fine. I think ThemeZoom's fine. Now that I say that, I probably don't have a title in there. That's old-fashioned HTML.
So let's just try. Let's do. Let's click on the members area. Well, and that takes us to the home page. I want to find. Let me just take them to a test one so they can see like what a. That way we can kind of show them like what they would change on there for the.
Perfect.
So I'm just going to go into a page. I'm not sure what pages are on here. It might be pretty junky, but we'll try to work with it. Okay. So this is your about. So in this situation, this is just a regular page, but you know, in this instance, when you're looking at the URL at the top, let's just say this is hairdressers and then Brazilian. So that's the URL that we decided on, and that's what will come out when you adjust that as you build your silo. Now, the other thing that you're looking at is the title up top. So on that one's typically just based off of what if you're using WordPress, it's typically just what your general settings are in here. So I'll show you where to edit that in a minute. So that's usually when you hover over at the top of the tab. That's also what you see when you're looking at it in Google. So that's what people see when they see that web page, particularly online. Obviously, this is a chunked out domain. That's just a test thing, but you kind of get the idea. And then you also have the about page in here. So in this instance, the title that I put in for the URL, usually WordPress defaults it to be your title, and then you have your H1 tag. It'll default to be the same. The way I like to kind of work it is like this. So I would just do edit. And I'm not sure what plugins and stuff are recommended for the install. But for instance, this is where your URL is, and this Matt, are you showing them like how to build this out on the site?
Yeah, in week 4 we're going to any silo builder, and we actually build the site out and show the guys the process.
So if we look at this, so you guys will be able to do this correctly with the silo plugin and everything, but for an individual page, this would be your title up top, right? But usually when you put these in, this defaults to your permalink that you put in as well. So I'm just going to change this for the example we're using. So I just hit OK. Okay, so that changed the URL. Well, and it's not a supporting page. And so what was the title we determined? It was like Best Brazilian Hairdressers for 2015. This one would be obviously in a silo. There should be a slash right there between it, but this is just one under the root domain, so that's why you're not seeing the slash like I just showed.
Right.
And then when you come down to here, this is where you can edit, so like most SEO type plugins that you install on your site, you'll be able to actually change how this looks in the search engine. So let's say I didn't want the car insurance thing there, it would pull the default of whatever we put here. So if you don't, sorry, go ahead, Sue.
You can change that in the silo plugin too.
Oh yes, which Matt will go over in week 4. So that way we forced it. I typically, for when I'm building out the sites, I typically leave my meta descriptions blank, only because I just want Google to pull from what's in the content. So for me personally, since I would be trying to rank Brazilian hairdressers, I'd make sure that that keyword is contained within the content somewhere of that page, at least once, maybe twice. within there. So that would handle what you're doing with your SEO title. Now you can come into here well, this depends on your theme. Let's just update this. I think this ends up being your H1, right, Sue? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, typically.
So this is your H1 adjustment. So we wanted to make that different in this case. So we were like Brazilian wigs or something was the keyword that we pulled from the last keyword tool.
Right.
So so something like that. So like this is what I'm trying to do is bring relevancy to this, and that's what you're doing when you're looking at the last keyword tool. So I'm trying to find the most important LSI that is still a money-making keyword that I put in as the H1. So this is a supporting keyword of what the main one is that we're trying to rank, which is hairdressers Brazilian, or I'm sorry, Brazilian hairdressers. And then in your title, we of course have the exact match that we're going after. So when you just hit update on this and go view the page, so you can see we got the best Brazilian wig stylist of 2015, and if you hover over the top, you know, the site title's all jacked up on this, but it would read best Brazilian hairdressers for 2015 at the top, despite what the site title settings are behind it, and then you'd have your URL optimized for that. So that's kind of an example. So this is your title, H1, URL. Those are the main things that I try to vary and make sure are not over-optimized before I start sending links to the page.
Right. So where they are right now, they're deciding on silo keywords this week, and they're going to want to go out and buy a domain so that they can get started. So one of the things that I wanted to cover was, like if you have your main keyword, like hairstylist, hairdresser was what you've got going on there. If you've got hairdresser that's actually in your domain name, then that seriously mucks with the keywords in the silo structure. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say that this wasn't sassy. Let's say that we came up with, let's say our domain, let's just say it contained a partial match already of a keyword that we're trying to use. So let's just say that this was like hairdresserguru.com / in this instance, you would want to pick a different top-level silo because you already have hairdresser at the top, and so you're going to want to pick a different keyword as you go down. For me personally, I like to try and pick pure diverse. Pure diverse is keywords that mean the same but that don't contain the actual words that you're trying to rank for. And I like to do like, we have a filter for that in the last keyword tool. They have access to this too, I'm assuming, right, Sue? Or this is something you guys cover?
Guys that are heavy into local and so the guys that are heavy into local can get access to it. We can give everybody access for a couple of weeks.
Cool. So one of the ones I like to use is the domain name finder. So this is like pure diverse that contains money. Sometimes you have to adjust the filter settings on this depending on how competitive your niche is. So in this instance, let's just say my main keyword was for Brazilian hair. I might just pick something with wig in it, because I wouldn't want to make it so specific to the lace one, but wig would be very relevant to maybe what a hairdresser would work with, or maybe you'd have something that comes in with some kind of hair. Like if you pull these back, and I don't see anything that's really, all that great that I want to use as a pure diverse. What's that? Oh, the extensions, yeah.
Yeah.
So in this instance, I mean, you're not going to go register the domain to be clip-on extensions unless that's your specific niche that you're trying to do, but then you're going to end up with an exact match domain. So what you want to do is make sure that you, for instance, we do, instead of hairdresser, we'd probably want to do the extensions here.
Or you could do Brazilian extensions, depending on how niche you wanted to get.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's really important. What Matt's teaching right now is very important for what you're going to be, how you're going to shape this domain and form it is going to follow you all the way down the levels of everything in your ring. So for instance, if you limit yourself and you do a domain that's only for one area, like if you start including an area as part of your route, what happens if you want to expand and go outside that area? Like some of those things won't make sense when people see them in the search engine. So I really try to break it down and just do just a partial pure diverse here, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what happens,
sorry.
Walton was asking about exact match domains and that being recommended. So let's just take an example of what happens if you do an exact match domain. If you've got hairdresser, if your site becomes hairdresser.com, then you can't have a silo that's hairdresser, because then that sticks your keyword in the URL string for that entire silo twice. And so then that whole silo is just going to be terribly over-optimized. So it's better, once you know what your silos are, it's better to back up and either go with a different way of expressing that concept, or to go with a brand, or something slightly tangent even.
And it doesn't mean that you can't rank like an EMD. Like you could still do that and you can make those brandable, but it's a lot trickier because you really got to pay attention to what you're doing with your inbound links. Like if you had an exact match, you need to be very careful with, typically people say, well, you can do the brand, the brand as an anchor. Well, in this case, your brand is a keyword, so you couldn't do that. Now you could do hairdresser.com, that's going to count as a partial match anchor text, but you can't just do a bunch of URLs that contain that, because then you start running into the situation we had over here where you're optimized for the hairdresser and you've got everything going on with it, and your site will tank. You'll get a penguin hit, and it just looks like all your rankings tanked, but you won't get any manual messages or anything like that in Google.
Right.
So it's easier just to start out with a domain name that lets you capture more keywords. So that's why we go for the pure diverse, and then try to sculpt in our other keywords.
So now, interestingly enough, and this is just from a lot of experience because I've looked at keyword lists for way too many years, but while Matt was scrolling through the list earlier and he was pulling out keywords and talking about what he wanted and what he didn't want, and he chose hair salon over beauty salon because hair salon's got 10 times, maybe even 20 times the number of searches that beauty salon has. But beauty salon had a really high cost per click as compared to hair salon. Beauty salon was like $6, where hair salon was like $2. So that's the kind of thing that I would look for in terms of, oh, that would be a really interesting LSI way of expressing what it is that I want. So I could get an LSI keyword in there, but most of the rest of my terms aren't going to be beauty related. But it'll allow me to capture all of those beauty related terms if somebody goes typing that in. And my gut hunch is, and this is where the thing I love about Kraken is that it makes me ask questions like, why is beauty salon at so much fewer searches got so much higher cost per click? And like my initial intuitive idea is that somebody who's looking for a beauty salon might be a higher priced client than somebody who's looking for a hair salon, because somebody who wants a haircut, those are oftentimes, you know, 10, 20, maybe a $30 haircut. But somebody who's looking for a beauty salon is looking for maybe more like a wedding thing, or, you know, maybe more like
facials.
Yeah, and so it's like, oh, that could be a much more expensive client. So I would be interested in capturing both of those things, so long as I actually have a beauty salon and not just a place that cuts hair. So
yeah, can you drop that text file you have, Matt, into Skype for me? I'll pull that up.
Yeah, sure. Let's go there. Turn Skype on. Excuse me.
And then we'll just kind of look at that, because I think that's an important, this is things that I think they have to see before they start really building everything out and, you know, going down eventually to backlinks and building out the ring systems and everything else.
Right. Oh, we don't even get that far in this course. Slow down.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I've Skyped it across, Jimmy. You'll see the text in your window. You can just copy paste it.
Okay.
So Michael asked, why wouldn't you use both? And that's exactly why I would go with the one, the beauty for the domain, and then I can use hair salon as a silo, so I can use both that way.
I think another important thing is you've got to also think about the copy when you're writing your copy. When you're telling the story, where is those words going to appear? And hair salons mentioned quite a bit throughout the whole site when we're speaking about the salon and those type of things. So you get that occurrence or that hair salon appearing. So it can get quite tricky.
Yeah, it really is kind of like a puzzle once you start piecing all these together. And really, you know, there's different, you know, so this is like Brazilian hair. So like, you know, I might think of like a specific style, you know, when I'm doing this. So maybe my category to really, you know, so for instance, if you have extensions guru.com, I might pick style, and then it really depends on what the goal is of the site that you're building. You know, where do you see the most traffic coming from? You know, what are you selling basically? So it might be Brazilian hair. So I could do something like that, and you might have different types of styles that would fit nicely under this, so you can still get the exact keyword in, but not worry about putting too much of the same keyword throughout your whole URL string.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to say something there with what Jimmy said there, guys, is often we make reference to a thing which we call a placeholder page, and the style is typically a placeholder page that allows you to create an environment where you can drop those type of keywords like Brazilian hair underneath it. That's one thing we do as well, because you're not concerned with getting style ranked, you're only concerned with the Brazilian hair, and that's a way you can actually create a silo theme by using a placeholder at the silo level.
Yeah, exactly. Welton asked an interesting question. He says he's doing client work, and if the client already has an EMD, then is it a lost cause regarding over-optimization? Should I buy a new domain which doesn't have the keyword in the URL and start ranking it from scratch? Jimmy, what are your thoughts?
Well, it kind of depends. Yeah, it depends on, you'd have to look in the webmaster tools and see if it's a manual penalty or they just lost rankings. So it'll look like a penguin penalty, but they just dropped, you for all their keywords that they were ranking for. And typically what your culprit is, because this is like, especially with client sites, they've been exposed typically to old style, SEO thinking, where when you're doing your inbound anchor text to a page, they're containing the keyword into it. So usually what I'll do, and this starts going into traffic hospital stuff, but you want to identify the bad links, and then you also want to compare, look at your overall anchor text. What inbound links do you have going to that site, and what page are they going to? Typically with those type of drops with an EMD particularly, you'll notice that it's in the EMD. It's also a specific page that they were targeting for that same keyword, and then they sent a bunch of anchor text of that keyword to that page. Those are the ones that you want to try and gut. So sometimes a quick solution to those types of drops. So let's say this is brazilianhair.com/style/Brazilian-hair. You wouldn't do this. This is an example of what not to do. But let's say that this was the page that happened to get just hammered. Not hammered, but they just did a lot of inbound links containing
Brazilian hair.
And that it doesn't have to be the exact, it just has to contain it.
Right.
So hair or Brazilian?
Yeah.
An actor.
So anything that's going to this, so Google is looking at this and saying, well, he's saying the same keyword twice, and then he has it in his title, and he has it in his H1, and it's all over his page, and then they're sending all these long tail versions of Brazilian hair. They're like, this guy is gaming the system, let's drop him.
Right.
So there's two options to really do from there. If it's a page and not the root, you always have the option of just deleting this page. You could take the content and move it to something else and rename it, but you want to just delete this page out of your WordPress or whatever site you're using and resubmit the sitemap to Google so they know that the inbound links for that particular page are no longer there. That will lift the penalty a lot of times. Sometimes if it's directly to the root, in some instances you do have to just redo the site because you either have to dilute down the anchor text or you have to start building a new one. And there's other methods, but that's taught in another course.
Right. So Wilton's actually talking about starting a new site with an exact match domain, like his clients brought the domain to the table. And so my comment there is that it's possible, like if they're really fixated on the domain, it's possible, but it's just like you do have to be careful as you get down the pike. Well, first of all, you have to be careful constructing your keyword DNA so that you're not duplicating that keyword a bunch of times. And then as you go to build your inbound links, you have to be really careful. And the thing that I would really caution about is, if you're aware of all of this, it's all well and good, and you build out a site and you can get it ranked and it's great. But if they take the site and they go somewhere else, and somebody who's not as aware starts building inbound links, it can get penalized really easily. So I tend to discourage my clients from it personally because it's just not a good long-term strategy.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I was thinking of something and lost my train of thought there.
I'm sorry.
I don't remember. So there's situations where you have this, but I mean you can move that content around and just break it down, like de-optimize the page. But typically when you got those inbound anchors, you're really looking at dilution or removal of page. If it's to the root, I would just talk to them and say, hey, we really got to break this out because there's so many instances that, so when you have, let's just say you had this situation where it's Brazilian-hair. Let's say this was the client page here, this second one that we're looking at. Um, this one here. So if this is what got hit, yeah, I just can't think of what the heck. I keep losing my train of thought. I'm sorry.
It's okay, because it's not been hit yet anyway. They're just getting started in this course.
That's right. So let's say you accidentally put the keyword in there twice for the silo structure. Now you're going to be fine as long as there's like no inbound links going to here. You can still rank this page, but your inbound anchors need to be pure, diverse, and other.
Right.
You don't even want to use URLs in this instance, because a URL link, because it contains the keyword, is considered a partial match anchor. So you could still rank EMTs if it happens to be a client thing, but you're going to have to do like, you know, you could do Brazil hairs. You could do like, it just has to be stuff that's going to pull up in your pure diverse, you know, Brazil wigs might be one, and then you might do find out more latest styles. You could still rank these, but you're basically going to be staying away from any kind of anchor text going directly to this page. But typically, when you have a URL that's set up this way, it doesn't take too many links to make it dive. It doesn't mean that they're bad links or that you did anything wrong, but Google just thinks that you're trying to game for that particular keyword. So they throw you in the penguin filter.
Right. Over-optimization.
So hopefully that kind of helps out. So as you learn from Matt the correct way to pick out your money keywords and going into this, just try to keep in the back of your mind, you know, you really want to pay attention to what is the URL structure going to look like, and then, you know, you also want to pay attention to your title and your H1 as you're constructing it.
Cool. Does that make sense to everybody?
I'll say one more thing. then I'll get off my box. So somebody had said, why not use both? I think it was Michael. So in this instance, when we do a partial pure diverse for a domain name, this really opens up the door to really incorporate more keywords for what we're going to rank for. So even though our main goal might be Brazilian hair, we're going to be able to rank this also pretty easily for Brazilian hair extensions, you know, because it's contained within the URL. And you can do a lot more anchor text diversity too once you have a bigger kind of, you know, keyword set to work with. So that's another benefit of just picking something that's like a pure diverse, because that way you can collect more keywords as you're going through the ranking. So, you know, it can really double the value of your silos as you go.
Yeah, I think Google will give you also, you'll get ranked for other keywords that you never thought of that's similar to that as well. You'll pick those up in Google Webmaster Tools. You'll see that happening when you build the string out like that.
So, and that's all. I pass it back to you now, Matt. That's all you wanted, right, Sue?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, guys, can you just let me know? Give me one if you can see my screen. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to start wrapping this up now, but basically what we're going to do in week 4 is I'm going to go into this in more detail when we work in DWS, and when we look at the keywords at the competing page sizes, we can actually segment the data set into groups, and we can actually see what is the upper echelons, what's the mid echelons, and what's the lower echelons that we can work with. And typically what I do is in Kraken, if we've got 321,000 for a keyword over here, and at the bottom is basically nothing, these keywords that are sitting in the top section of 100,000 up, so hair extensions, hair, human hair, Brazilian hair, Virgin hair, hair accessories in this type of field could potentially become silo keywords because they're big enough and they contain scope. But thinking back on what Jeremy just told us, this stresses how much more important it is to actually know what you're selling and what you're building your site for. So the definition and the defining of your site becomes super important because you need to be very clear what you want to build, especially in today's environment. Okay, so that's the process we use with Kraken when we actually start drilling out our keywords, and that gives us a nice data set to work with. Then we can sit down and actually look at the data set, look at all the themes that we've got, and we can cherry pick the best themes that work for us. Do you guys have any questions you'd like to ask about Kraken at this point in time? Let's move this across like that. Okay, so just to reiterate on what we're doing here, basically we start with one keyword, which was hair salon. We looked at the TSMV, the searches, and the cost per click. We cherry-picked the best 5, and we looked at what is the common keywords that are relevant to our business, and that gave us our drill list. We basically then go and drill out all the keywords over here and find their siblings as well, and then drill those siblings. And that'll give us between 15 and 20 themes that we can use for our project. Okay. It's not that tricky. When you have your consultation with me, if you get stuck, guys, you got the 4 hours consultation time. If you get stuck, give me a shout, and if I have to, I'll jump on a call with you or I'll help you through Skype. So you've got someone to help you through this process. But what's the great thing about this is when you give me your keywords for your project, I will do this for you. Okay, so you'll have the first sample there, which you can then go in and you've got 7 days to play with it and explore and test out all the features within Kraken to get familiar. But most of the grunt work will be done for you guys. So you don't have to feel like you're in a stressful environment. You've got a nice data set that's there. You can delete what you don't think is relevant and you can add what you believe to be relevant. Okay, so this is typically what we do with market analysis is we start at the top level of the vertical for the market or industry that we're in. We then use that keyword like hair salon. That was the top of my vertical. I started there. I then extracted the keywords that I believed were important out of the 3 data sets. We created a drill list and we drilled down. And when we look at the end result after we finished doing that, this gives us a wide data set that covers all the specters of that specific industry we're looking at. And we can see where the money flows, we can see how much search volume there is, and we can see what are the winners and what are the losers. And typically, if something is not relevant, we just come along and bang, we delete it and we get it out the way so it doesn't corrupt our data set. The reason why I say that is if something is not relevant to your website, it will influence the charts. Okay, everything you add adds to this chart. So if we got rid of wedding dresses, and the wedding industry was super competitive, that could skew the results that you're seeing here. So if it's not relevant, just get rid of it, click it, bang, and you'll see that your whole data set will actually get cleaned up as well. Okay, so there's a question here from Michael. Okay, that's been answered. Okay, cool guys. So for your homework this week, what you want to do is you want to go to week 3, run through the Kraken market analysis, look at TLKT, and then look at the local specific keywords. And then what we want to do for homework this week is essentially we want to start you want to give me your keyword. You have to finish week 1 and 2, do your ISDNA, and create your short list of keywords. We want 1 primary keyword, and we want 2 or 3 supporting keywords. We don't need no more than that. And typically what I say to guys is, give me one of your industry keywords like hair salon. Give me the keywords that define your product as well. Okay. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to identify our theme keywords, and we're going to look at our competitors, and we're going to actually understand the market. By the time you go through this process and you look at the keywords and see who ranks for what and where, and you think about your competitors, then you'll start seeing how they're actually making their money online. Okay. So, guys, do you have any other questions at this point in time? I think we've given you guys a lot to think about with regards to choosing your keywords and how to drill them out in Kraken.
So we should hit Michael's question because he came back and clarified what he was saying. So he's saying that, on that list, that short list that you had of 5 keywords
yes.
so that you're going to drill out, that you've got some keywords in there that repeat concepts, right? So you got hair and pretty much all of those. But what we're looking at here are just the themes that we're going to drill into in Kraken, and then from that you're going to pick out your silo keywords. And it's not, so like, the problem comes when you've got a URL string where you've got the same keyword in there twice. So you wouldn't want to put hair extensions underneath hairstyles, but you can have one silo that's hairstyles, and you can have another silo that's hair extensions. And that's not going to repeat the word hair, for example, twice in that one URL string.
What you're going to see that's going to happen here, Michael, is because we're dealing with an industry, and as we're going through this data set and we're drilling out, we're going to see the overlaps. Okay, so there's overlap there and overlap there. You're going to find overlaps in all the data sets that you drill into within a specific industry. Okay, and that's why in week 4, when we look at DWS any silo builder doesn't allow duplicate keywords into the data set when we bring it in to make it easier for you. So you've only got one instance of each keyword. And then you can apply your business rules to that, and we start mapping out the silo structure and building the site from that point. But like Jimmy showed us, once we've got all our themes, i.e. Kraken, all the themes, we know where the money flows, we know how much search volume there is, we can start looking at our expectations. We can then cherry pick those keywords, those themes, and start building out the silo structure and then put the keywords exactly where we want them.
So, good. Okay, we got some light bulb moments going on there.
Yeah, next week we're going to build a site. I'm going to build a site with you guys. I'm going to show you. We're going to basically drill into some themes. We're going to map the site out. We're going to import it into WordPress. We're going to then go and clean up the URLs by extracting certain keywords that we don't want if there are duplications. I'm going to show you guys how to do it because it's quite a rapid process. It's not a tedious task. It's actually quite easy because the silo builder builds the whole site for us very, very quickly. So all we're doing is improving the site structure from what it currently is.
Sorry, we got a couple people asking the same question. That initial drill list, those are good keywords. They're not necessarily going to be your silo keywords. What we do is we use that drill list of 5 keywords to be able to map out your entire market. So we take those 5 keywords, we drill into them, you get back about 20 different themes, and you're going to look through those 20 different themes and find your silos that way.
Yeah. Yeah, remember guys, Kraken's a market analysis tool. We need to know what's going on in the market. We need to understand the language that is used in the market. We need to see what keywords are popular, what's the popular verbiage. And this is why we go through this process and we expand out so we can actually get that snapshot that we need to find those golden threads that run through the market that we want to own.
Cool.
Excellent.
All right, so this particular webinar, because we had Jimmy on it, was quite a bit different from most of our week 3 webinars. And some of the archives will go into a lot more detail about how to use Kraken. Maybe we can even drop one of the best into the Skype group for you guys, because I would suggest that you go back and watch one of those because we covered Kraken really quickly.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
So you might want to. That would be awesome.
I've got a.
Might want to review one of those.
We've got an excellent webinar video that I'm gonna drop in the Skype group before we hang up here. It's called Kraken Meet the Beast. It's one of the better ones that we've done. So just stand by. I'm gonna drop that into the group chat here. Go ahead, Sue.
That's it.
Okay. Just give that to everybody.
So is the process clear, guys, of how we're doing this? Because this will save you hours and hours and hours of your time if you figure this process and use it. This is why I wanted to take you through the process this week in this webinar, just to show you the practicalities of how to use the tool to get nice, clean data sets that aren't obscured with random themes that don't really belong there.
Nope, I haven't sent you the link just yet, guys. I'm actually having a difficult time finding the chat feature again. Polls, attendees, dashboard.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, guys, I'm going to drop it in the Skype group. Is there anybody in here who have not been on the Skype group yet? Okay. I went ahead and put it in the Skype group right there. So that's our wiki help file. But on the wiki help file, there's this following video, which I'm also dropping in the Skype group. It's a really excellent overview. It's the most expanded SEO and I have ever gotten on Kraken. I don't think Matt was in this particular video, but it does cover everything that you'll probably need. I think it has most of the new features. Okay. Michael is saying the interpretation seems to come with experience and won't happen in the beginning. Yeah, there is a little experience there. You have to have a little duocracy happening before all the things start to fall into place. But it is true. The relationship between week 2, somebody commented on week 2 earlier. As you begin to see how the painkiller research connects with the keyword research, put those two together, there's a moment or a light bulb moment where those things naturally kind of flash, and then it becomes easy. So you guys are getting it.
Yeah, and as you start to build out your website in Network Empire Builder, and you start to see the URL strings come together, it'll make more sense, everything that we said today, and it'll all start to click. So it's a bit abstract right now, but as you get your hands into it, it'll make more sense. Matt, are they going to be far enough along next week that we could actually bring somebody live and talk about their structures and look at what it is that they're doing?
I'm not sure, Sue. That's a bit of a hard question to answer.
Okay, so
it
maybe
depends on these guys. We can maybe ask for volunteers. That's probably the better way of doing it.
Okay. I was just going to get out my whips. You're taking all the fun out of it.
No, I guess as we draw the keys out, what we can maybe do is in the tech group we can just say to the guys who wants to volunteer, and then we can actually have a look at what they've done.
Hey Matt, they're asking for the booking time for you again.
All right.
I'm trying to see if I've got that on file. I don't know if I do.
I'll get it quickly.
And we can drop it in the Skype group as well.
Yeah, I'll drop it in the Skype group for you guys in the next 10 minutes.
Sounds great. Let's see. Network Empire News. Can I update everybody on the week 4 course, Sue, or should I just leave that out? They're probably overwhelmed already. We were up. Do you guys give me a 1 if you want me to just update you on our new course release, or should we just leave it off? I'm actually not trying to sell you anything. Just kidding. We were up very, very late preparing for it, so just want to let you know. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. I really value how much you have going on in your brain, so I don't want to stretch it. But the week 4 Tech Foundation, automaticbroadcasting.com is where we're putting up the information. I just interviewed Sue and I interviewed Matt. I'm not sure which video we ended up using. It's a landing page right now, but we talk a little bit about what's going on. This has been 3 years in the making because, as some of you who've already been to certification know, our web ring has 3 layers. And there's actually a secret 4th one that we don't publicly talk about. But the 3rd layer is really about RSS. We get into some complex systems of integration where everything you've done from this course on the way on out, there's certification level 2, which teaches you how to create traffic, comes after this one. Level 3, some people will take, which is the automatic video. It really talks about pin bid blogs, but there's a lot of other kinds of automated sites that are sustainable, SEO integrated. They passed Sue, Jimmy, and Matt's standards on proper SEO so you don't blow yourself up and or undermine your efforts. It's actually a bit complicated until you see how it works. Then, of course, everything that you've been working for makes sense. So there's other types of content that can be automated via RSS other than pin bid. And that's where the WR3 work comes in. So I wanted you to be aware that that's coming. It is the same type of model, which is a perpetual mastermind group. Once a member, always a member. Pay one time, you'll never pay again. It's about, plus you get all the updates, integrations, and we're launching that in 13 days. That will be the completion of everything being prepared for the live event in April. I just want to make sure you guys were aware of it as we kick that off. And then you'll see after the upcoming live event, we'll begin to go into regular pattern modes of recurring live events. We're going to be sometimes even doing things in parallel. So the community is going to really explode over the next 6 months. Just wanted to let you guys know what was going on with that. If you have any questions whatsoever, it does have an independent Skype group when we launch because it really, we need to focus on the things that are in that course. We've discovered that's just a little bit better. Additionally, you do not need to have taken WR or the second level certification or the third in order to jump into the fourth. The only one we really do recommend before the live certification event is the one that you're in now. So you're doing a great job. I know it's really, I noticed one of you commented on, wow, week 2 was really a mind boggler, and now you see how this is connected to that one. That's kind of how it happens. You just start to have these series of light bulb moments where everything starts to connect. And the only real way to go through that is just to go through it. It may not be perfect the first time that you do it. Then all of a sudden you go through the process, and like Sue says, you have these empire keywords, but you also have an understanding of SEO silo architecture and then website persuasion architecture. In other words, the ability to communicate with the audience, provide them with solutions to their pain, and then the penny starts to drop in this entire integration process. So as you probably have already found out, there's nothing quite like what we do anywhere out there in terms of this level of integration. Just want you to be aware of what's coming up and what our plans for 2015 are about, because you'll begin to see more emails and correspondence about all these courses and integration. How many of you in here have actually Welton says this is the second time you're auditing this course, and it's making even more sense. Fantastic. How many in here have already taken Tech 2? I just wanted to clarify. Any of you already been through this course? Just give me a 1 or 2 if you have not. You're auditing it. Yeah, Michael, it's good to see you. You're definitely an old-timer in terms of being around for a long time with us. Not commenting on your age. Okay, yeah, there's a few of you have. And some of you are saying that you've got, you're having a little bit more clarity. I know Vincent, a couple certified advisors in here. You're having a different experience. One of the things that we do notice is that the web is in continual evolution. And our teaching staff, Matt, you can probably vouch for this. I know Jimmy and Sue can as well. Once we find out where the light bulb moments are, we start going right in for the clarity. So again, we learn by teaching how to best communicate these principles with you. So I want to thank you all for that. And we continue to zoom right in on that. How many of you are finding that you're actually getting more clear on the second time around? Or did you mostly get give me a 1 if it's better second time around, or you're still, oh, interesting. So Bill's saying it's clear every time. And he's getting more integration with the tools. Okay, that's good to know. Can I make an announcement about OneFeed Supercharger, Sue?
Sure.
Okay. OneFeed Supercharger.
Absolutely.
Okay. OneFeed Supercharger version 1 is technically complete, and we are going to release the first version ad-free just for the close community areas, close community. So look out in the Skype group. I'm going to do my classic, go through each of the Skype group, let everybody know before we kick it off, and we're going to get that out to you. It's just version 1, and it's still very, very powerful. Sue and Jimmy and I were up very, very late creating some different videos for some things. We did not get around to the OneFeed video. I know Matt will be contributing to some new videos that we have upcoming, including for Network Empire Builder. So I'm really looking forward to getting this out to you. And as soon as I get the launch for the Tech Foundation 4 content broadcasting course out the door, we're going to start releasing that to our closest members, or it might even happen in parallel. Let me see. Michael's saying, does Social Explosion work only with posts, or does it help with pages too? Okay, that's a very common question, Michael. It does not work with pages at this time. There is a hack for that, or a shortcut using RSS feeds. You can do pages and posts. I think we actually have that on the help file. Let me just drop the Social Explosion help file in here. We actually cover it really, really well. But there is a workaround for that until we get to I think that's about 2 versions out, where we plan on adding that, because there's some complexity there with the pages. So it is really a post-focused application at this time. Any other questions about those updates? You can expect information about OneFeed Supercharger coming out, and you'll see some information on the Tech Foundation 4 course coming out. All right, I guess we're ready to wrap this up. You guys are doing fantastic. I want to give special thanks for Jimmy Kelley, who I was pretty much up all night, for showing up on this webinar, giving that information. Thank you so much, Sue. Matt DeCruz, you're fantastic, amazing. I can't believe how much energy you put into with all the students. My name is Russell Wright. We look forward to seeing you at the next Thursday webinar. We will see you next week, where we'll be covering, what is next week, Matt? Let's just go ahead and look real quick.
Yeah, next week's silo, we're building our
Okay,
sites.
yeah, that's where it is.
I'm going to taking the data from Kraken, we're pushing it through any builder, and we're going to pop out a site in 15 minutes.
That's right, we got it in 15 minutes flat. All right, you guys are awesome. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Cheers, guys.